Welcome into the Rocc Pod, produced for the Royal Oak, Michigan Chamber of Commerce. I am John Gay from Jag and Detroit Podcasts.
And I'm Trish Caruth, third-generation jeweler and owner of Your Personal Jeweler.
I'm Lisa Baby, your neighborhood realtor with Keller Williams Advantage.
Excited for today's guest. She is Mallory Slusser. She is the Campaign Development Manager for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, also known as LLS, as we get ramped up for their October 5th Light the Night event at Hart Plaza in Detroit. Mallory, welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. Very nice to meet you, and thank you guys for having me today.
It's so great to have you here, Mallory. And can you tell us a little bit more about what the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society is and how you got involved?
Yeah, so the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, we work with all types of blood cancers. We are dedicated to curing leukemia, lymphoma, myeloma, and a whole bunch of other blood cancers that are associated with it. We are the largest voluntary nonprofit health organization dedicated to finding blood cancer research and providing education and patient services. That's really what LLS is all about and our mission. And I was diagnosed with leukemia, actually acute myeloid leukemia, a couple of years ago. And I was introduced to someone here in our local area that had gone through the same thing I did, was around the same age, the same gender, all of that stuff. And I had just a great connection with them. And I loved that they were a mentor and that they helped me through my journey. And that's really how I started my deep dive into what the leukemia and lymphoma stood for and what they do, especially here in our local area.
Thanks. I know John mentioned in the intro about the Light the Night event that's at Hart Plaza. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Light the Night is a great event. It is really one of the biggest walks that we have. It's our biggest campaign here at LLS. It starts at 6:30, so really at that nighttime, like Light the Night. And anyone who signs up, the registration is completely free for anyone to come down. We do encourage fundraising. You know, that is the way that we're able to do the research and give back to the community. But it's not mandatory. Anybody can come and register and come down to the walk. Everybody receives a lantern. So there are 3 different colored lanterns you'll see on our logo for Light the Night. It is red, gold, and white. And all 3 of those represent something different. So when you come and you walk into the walk and, you know, someone's there to greet you, you get to choose that colored lantern. So the white colored lantern is held by patients or survivors. The red colored lantern is held by people who are supporting blood cancer patients. And the gold lantern is held by people that have lost a loved one to cancer. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be blood cancer, but it's just someone that you're honoring. And that's why you're holding that gold lantern.
I have to say, on a personal note, I was fortunate enough to MC the Light the Night event a couple of different times in the past. And the visual, at least from the stage, of all of these lanterns all going up at once and this massive crowd that you're overlooking on Hart Plaza and other venues where your organization has done this, it's really touching. And everyone knows someone or has been touched by cancer themselves in some way, shape, or form, and know what an awful battle it can be. But the strength that everybody takes from this community with each other, and then also relying on everybody and the resources and what your organization and others do, it really is visually and emotionally quite a night.
It really is. And I think what sets us apart from the other walks is that our walk is held at night. You know, there's a little something different than a daytime walk to a nighttime walk. Like John said, you know, you get to see this sea of lanterns that are lit up that people are holding. And you do get to see how many people are holding those gold lanterns where, you know, they've lost somebody. And then you do get to see a big circle. We bring all the survivors together in one circle and you see all those white lanterns together. And it really is an emotional moment. I know, especially for myself, just because I am a survivor, but, you know, people come to this walk just holding a red lantern, just wanting to be a part of it and helping our blood cancer community. You know, we know that every 3 minutes, someone is diagnosed with a blood cancer. I mean, think how many people that is a day.
Well, I would imagine it's very empowering too for those of you that do have the leukemia or lymphoma, just seeing a sea of other people that you can relate to. They're going through the same situation as you. And sometimes we get distracted and think that we alone are going through something, but to have a visual like that and surrounded by other people who are literally going through the same thing as you, I feel that would be very supportive and empowering for everyone.
It really is. When I was diagnosed, I had barely heard of leukemia. Like I knew what it was. I had no idea, had never met anybody who had it. So, I don't want to say I'm a very private person, but I don't really put a lot of information out on social media about myself. And I will never forget that day. I came home. I wanted to be home by myself. My parents wanted me to come stay with them. And I said no, because I just needed a minute to figure out what was going on.
Sure.
And I thought, who do I even ask? Who do I even reach out to? Who do I even talk to? And I did feel like I had to put it on Facebook. And as soon as I did, a lot of people reached out to me, but unfortunately they were breast cancer survivors, and our journeys, even though they are on that same path, they are not the same. Receiving chemo and treatment for a blood cancer is totally different than any other cancer. So that was the toughest part. It wasn't until a year and a half later that I found someone that was just like myself.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what resources the LLS does offer for people?
Yeah, we have so many. I don't know how much time we have. So I'll name a couple of my favorite ones. So we have emergency funding. Now that is local in our areas. Whether that is you need to keep the lights on at your house, or you need gas to get to your doctor's appointment, or, you need new brakes for your car. We have that funding here locally that can help those families. I actually talk to quite a bit of people who call me and say, oh my gosh, my daughter, I just actually had one a couple weeks ago. She called and said, I'm a single parent. My daughter's 15. She's been battling for the last year and a half. I haven't been able to work. Is there any way that you can help me? And that was a really tough one because I haven't received one of those calls before, but that really kind of shined a light for me to show me that these resources, this fundraising and all the things that we have that we're giving and that we're doing truly help these local patients that we have here. I was very fortunate enough myself, my friends and family threw me a big benefit, and I was super fortunate enough to be able to live off of that money, for a year that I couldn't go back to work. But, there's not many of us that are like that, especially families that are single parents that have to choose between, staying in the hospital 4 months at a time with their child while they get better, or going to work every day. So I just couldn't imagine having to make that decision myself.
Really is some perspective for us listening to you and hearing your story right now. Mallory, how can listeners of our podcast get involved with the LLS?
Our main website is LLS.org. Or we also have the lightthenight.org. So either one of those ways will kind of connect you with, maybe signing up individually and coming down to the walk, or signing up and getting a team together that comes down to the walk. Like I said before, you don't have to fundraise anything. It really is that extra perk for us when people do fundraise, because again, that money stays here locally. But yeah, either of the websites have information on how you can get involved. And again, there are so many different ways. Day of volunteering, if that's what you want to do. Or, we have different volunteer opportunities throughout the year where we table events and we need people to be there because, some of us can't be. So there's a ton of different ways to get involved. It's not just fundraising.
So Mallory, what else are you doing in and around Michigan?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, we table a lot of events. We have 3 walks here in Michigan. We have the Detroit one, we have a Midland walk, and we have a Grand Rapids walk. So I am helping the other managers in both of those areas find events to go to. And like I said, either table those events or find patients there. We have a patient community outreach manager as well, and she really is our face in the community. So what her job is she goes out and she talks to hospitals, she talks to doctors' offices, she talks to churches, to other groups. She gets us connected with them. And then that way, when they hold events, we're able to come in and spread that information. We hold podcasts that we have. We have Dr. Zonder from Carmano's. He's huge. He's such an advocate for our myeloma patients. We just a month ago had a dinner down in Detroit at Mario's, and we had 133 people attend just to learn more about multiple myeloma. So we have just a plethora of different things that we're doing around the community and trying to get the word out of what to look for, the symptoms, who to reach out to, who to go to for that urgent funding, who to turn to for that emotional and mental support as well too.
Mallory, it's very clear listening to you speak the passion that you have for this cause. And obviously, we appreciate you sharing the personal details of why it is so personal to you. We want to leave this on a lighter note, though. We got to ask you, when you're not working, what do you do in your spare time? What do you do for fun?
You know what's really funny is I actually cannot get the job out of my head. I will be places and I will say, oh, have you heard of LLS? Or, have you ever thought about getting connected with us? It is so funny. I can't get it out of my head. I think it's just because to me, it's not work. To me, I know that I'm helping others and I'm helping friends and people just like myself. But now if I do separate myself from work, I love traveling Michigan. Michigan is my favorite. I love camping. I'm a big camper. So yeah, and I'm a big foodie. So any new place that opens up in Detroit or Royal Oak, Ferndale, places like that, I'm there.
And now it is time for our fishbowl question of the day, where we ask a totally random question. Lisa, can you pull our fishbowl question of the day?
Sure, let's dig in here. What's your favorite piece of clothing that you own?
Oh my gosh, sweatshirts. So I have a crew neck. It has to be a crew neck. It cannot be a hoodie. I do not like hoodies. But a crew neck that my uncle is actually a dentist, and a long time ago, he had a whole bunch of sweatshirts made with like the name of his dentistry on there and things like that. And my grandpa wore it for years and years and years. It's like worn out and it's like a really thin sweatshirt. And when he passed away, that was the only thing that I asked for, and I got it, and I love it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite sweatshirt.
Aww.
Yeah.
That is really a great story. So one more time, Mallory, before we let you go, give us the website and any other contact info you want to share for how folks can get involved with LLS and Light the Night.
Yeah. So the website is lightthennight.org. And right on there, you can go to register to the walk. Or you can look up my information for the Detroit Walk to email me or reach out to me. Would love to talk to anybody who wants to volunteer the day of or volunteer on event times that we have throughout the rest of the year. If somebody is a survivor, would absolutely love to have them be a part of our First Connection program, which mentors newly diagnosed patients. So again, if you are that person and you're willing to talk to people, would love to have you do that too.
So thank you so much for being on our show today and sharing with us everything about the LLS. My name is Elisa Bibby. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams Advantage, and I put the real back in realtor. Unsure of how the market is shifting and thinking of selling this year? Call for a free consultation. My website is soldbylisab.com, and you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Sold by Lisa B.
I'm Trish Caruth, third-generation jeweler and owner of Your Personal Jeweler. I specialize in creating custom, engagement, wedding rings, and fine jewelry. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at The Personal Jeweler or on our website, www.thepersonaljeweler.com.
And I am John Gay from Jag in Detroit Podcast. If you have any questions about podcasting, let me know. I offer audio and video podcasts without having to go to an expensive studio, all from the comfort of your own home or office. For more information, you can reach out to me at jagindetroit.com or find me on social media at jagindetroit. We want to thank everybody for listening to this episode of the Rocc Pod, produced for the Royal Oak, Michigan Chamber of Commerce. For more information about the Chamber and all of our events, you can visit royaloakchamber.com. Thanks, everyone.